if you're doing manual eBay dropshipping, then you need to have an eBay dropshipping product spreadsheet. And this one even has something that most others will not have, which is the ability to pull product data from a supplier directly into the Google Sheet using a function I made called get data. And I'll get to that later, and that works with certain websites. But first of all, let me break down the whole spreadsheet. This section is the listing section. So on this section, I'm just going to actually store the listings. So let's say, for instance, this is just an example. Let's just say this was your listing, right? It's not, but let's just say that this is my listing. I'll just take this listing ID and paste it in here. And in reality, you can get yours from your inventory report or off of your page or however you do it. But here's my listing ID. You can also enter it as you list the products. A listing URL is automatically constructed from that listing ID. As you can see here, it's just HTTPS, ebay.com, ITM. All of that is combined together. So when I click on it, it will simply open up the listing in the browser, and that just makes it easier for you to reopen your listing whenever you need to. And then here I will record the price of my listing. I'm going to use a different price from what they have. I'll just put $100 as an example because it's an easy number for me to work with. Now, let's take a look at fees and all that. Now, first of all, the tax. So what you have to realize is that eBay charges tax to the buyer automatically, right? They remit tax for you. And so the tax that the buyer will pay depends on their location. So which is similar to what happens at the supplier. If the supplier is charging you tax, for instance, of 10%, then the buyer is going to be paying 10% tax to you as well on eBay because it's based on their location. Now, 10% is just a number I chose as a kind of a high range, but most people's tax is actually not 10%. Many people will have a lower tax than 10%. Okay, but some people do have 10 or 9 or 8 or so on and so forth. So 10% tax results in $10. The buyer then pays you $100 for the item plus $10 tax. So $110, right? Simply added together. Okay, the tax is simply multiplied first. Then the tax is added to the price. That gives you how much the buyer pays. The fee this fee percentage that comes from eBay for the final value fee, that is based on the category. If you look at selling fees over here on eBay, they have a table and it tells you that most categories right now are 13.25%. Okay, almost most of these categories, but books, for instance, are 14.95, about 15%. So you may have to change it for different listings depending on the category of the listing. You'll have to change this fee. So now the final value fee is simply calculated by taking the amount that the buyer paid and multiplying it by this fee, this percentage of 13.25%. So now I have the final value fee. The transaction fee is either 30 cents or 40 cents. And again, I'm showing you this on eBay because I want you to see that I didn't just come up with this stuff off the top of my head. This is based on eBay's actual selling, their fee schedule rather. So if you scroll down, somewhere down here, it does tell you that, and I probably just scrolled past it. I'll look for 30 cents. Here it is. Under final value fees, it says that you are charged a fee, a percentage of the total amount of the sale that I just went over, plus a per order fee. And for orders that are $10 or less, that per order fee is 30 cents. And if they're over $10, then the per order fee is 40 cents. So that is calculated in here with an if statement. As you can see, if this listing price is less than or equal to 10, then it will give you a 30 cents fee. Otherwise, it will give you a 40 cents fee just to show you that it works. If I change this listing price to $5, you see that the fee changes to 30 cents, right? So that's the transaction fee. Now, the total fees are simply the combination of the final value fee and the transaction fee together. That creates your total fees. And then the payout is simply your what you're charging, which is what you're basically paid, minus the fees that eBay is taking from you. And this is what you're left with, which is $85.03 in this case. The profit is going to read the same thing because the profit subtracts the supplier cost, and we have not calculated that yet. So right now, profit will just say the same as the payout. Once we calculate the cost of a product, that will change. So now for the supplier part, right? Because when you dropship, you're dropshipping from a supplier. I do the eBay part first because once you have the products listed, you will be thinking more about the eBay side as far as the pricing, your pricing, but you have to do it based on the product, the supplier side. Okay, so I'll go over to the supplier side, and for the supplier, I'm looking at the product ID. Product ID don't necessarily have to have a product ID. You can use the product ID from the supplier itself, but really the URL is good enough for manual tracking. So let's take the supplier Zoro, for instance. So if you're doing Zoro to eBay dropshipping, for instance, here is a product, and let's just pretend that this is the source of the product that I took from eBay, right? If this is the source, then I'm going to take this URL and just copy it, paste it over here. That is the product URL on Zoro. Now I have the title of the product and I have the price of the product, right? So if after listing the product, if you're doing your listings manually, you could just copy and paste this title in here, of course, and you can also, you can just simply copy and paste this title, right? Paste special values, so it's nice and keeps a plain format, and you can just put that title in here if you wish. And then the price. Now, I mean, maybe when you initially list the product at that moment, you can simply type in that price as well. That's $13.99. And now the number of units is the number of units you have to buy, because let's say you're selling a 2-pack. Well, then you would have to change units to 2. Typically in dropshipping, you're selling 1 unit. I mean, most of the time. So let's just say 1 unit is what I have here by default. And shipping, let's say the shipping is $5. And I'll make sure this is currency format. If the shipping is $5, I believe, for products under a certain price on Zoro, then this will probably be $5 shipping. If you're not sure, you can add it to the cart, right? You can just add it to the cart, and then you can check the cart and see what the price of shipping will actually be. Let's just say it's $5. Then the subtotal is $18.99 when you take $13.99 and add the $5 together, right? And then the buyer, not the buyer, you're the buyer in this case. So you're being charged tax. So depending on the location of, well, yes, you're a buyer. Depending on their location, you're being charged tax. And we'll add that tax onto the subtotal to create the total cost. All right, so here we have the tax calculation. The subtotal calculation you see here is the price, the number of units plus the shipping. Okay, the tax, yes, can be charged both on the price and shipping. That whole subtotal can be used to charge the tax, okay, in many places. So that's how we get our tax and then our total costs, right? Just add in subtotal and tax together. Okay, so now we have a profit calculation based on the cost at the supplier. So now we have a profit calculation of $64.14 here, right? Now, by the way, if you prefer to have your product information, your supplier, on the left, and then to think about the eBay part after, you could potentially move this over here. You would have to insert columns to the left, and then take this whole section, cut it, and paste it over here. Okay, if you want to move this for some reason. Okay, you have to just open up a lot of, go like this and just insert some columns over here. And then you can just take the section over here, the blue section, you can cut it, highlight it again, cut it, and paste it over here. Okay, in case you want to move things around. All right, now, if you do that, and then you want to use get data, you will have to set get data, which is what I'm going to show you how to do now. So let's get to the get data. So get data, this is a function that I made that can extract data. It's not specifically made for e-commerce or for online stores, but that is what I've mainly used it for, because e-commerce has been the primary business that I have been involved in online since I started an online business, roughly say 5-6 years ago or so. So basically what I'm going to show you to do is how to extract the data. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually delete title and price from this URL. And once you install, once it's installed, get data, you simply go here, set the head and row for the sheet so that it knows not to extract any data up there. So the header row is row number 1. You click OK. Then the next thing is you need to set extraction columns. So let me do the price, the title, for instance. Column O would be title, so I will go to get data, set extraction column, meaning the column I'm in right now, and then it says enter the data element, which is really the data label that will be extracted. What is it called? So it's just title. I stuck pretty much with simple words here, so it's just the word title. Okay, I have a list of what words you need to use as well with this get data. But now it's going to ask you for the source column, meaning, well, what am I extracting the title from? Like, where am I extracting from? That's column N. I'll just put the letter N in here, and I just like to see it capitalized, and click on OK. So that's where it expects to extract the title now. So now we'll move over to the price, and I'll do the same thing. Get data, set extraction column, type in price, and click OK. And again, it's the same source column because I don't know exactly what your template is. I can't assume the source column is always going to be N. I don't know where you want to extract your prices from, so you have to tell it again, column N, right? And that also, I also made it that way to give you the flexibility, right, of using different columns, different source columns. So now what we can do, if we want to extract data, which is the title and the price, in this area, we just highlight that area, go to get data again, and then extract range. Click on extract range, and it will extract the data directly into the sheet from that URL. As you can see, it extracted the title and it extracted the price. Now that this does work with Zoro.com, as you can see clearly. So if you're drop shipping from Zoro to eBay, or if you're interested in drop shipping from Zoro to eBay and you haven't had a way to track the products into your spreadsheet manually, where you don't have to like physically visit the URL, or here, this is your solution. This is how you can do it. Okay, and now get data is what's called extensible, which means that it can be expanded, all right, without actually redesigning the whole thing from scratch, meaning I can add other websites to it, where those websites can also be scraped. So basically, if I can, once I figure out how to scrape a website, I can basically add it into like a database, and it can scrape more different websites. So it is extensible for other sites. And that's something I have to get into more in other more advanced videos. If you're interested, if you have the knowledge of things like regular expressions and all of that, that's something I can start to get into some other videos, how you can begin to expand this on your own. All right, this get data library. Now that's basically it. And by the way, that does work on a list of products, so you can actually highlight a whole list, or you could highlight this whole column. Okay, these whole 2 columns, you could also do that and get data, extract range, and it will do it. Continue means it will keep trying to extract from wherever it left off. So you have continue, and there's also an automatic continue where it will set a trigger where it will just keep, you know, every so many number of minutes. That's a bit more advanced, but it's not difficult. And I can show you how to set those triggers and different things in AppScript, right? When you're ready to do it for like larger numbers of products. So if you're interested in the spreadsheet, go ahead and find a link in the description of this video. This is just one actually of a number of eBay spreadsheets that I have as of today, and that I'm even planning to add more. So I can show you right now. Another one is this eBay listings and profit sheet, which is a bit more advanced in a way, in a sense. I don't know if I could really say more advanced, but just this is broken down a bit more for people who are physically buying the product, I would say, and then shipping it, rather than more like arbitrage. So it has a few other things going on here, like shipping charge and a bit more with the fee category, and but not as much on the supplier side. Okay, not as much there on the supplier side. So because it's more like if you've already bought the product and you have a certain cost of the product. So this is another format I have for tracking listings and profit. And then I have a product research spreadsheet as well that actually extracts, where you actually perform a search on eBay, and it actually extracts the products right from the eBay search page and the product data right into the spreadsheet, and even goes as far as to automatically find potential sources of your products by taking those titles and actually searching them on search engines automatically. So that's a whole nother process that I've demonstrated in a couple other videos. So if you're interested, look a bit further. I have all these different spreadsheets that are available that you can use to help run your business without a lot of expensive software for product research or even for listing management. So that's about it for this video. If you have any other further comments, questions, or suggestions, you can always leave them below in the video. You can also contact me directly using information provided in the description of the video. So make sure you look at that description and actually read it. I have a bunch of information there for you, particularly with downloading these spreadsheets and other things as well. So that's about it. I am Mr. Mark, and I look forward to either hearing from you or seeing you around in another video.